Hello and welcome to Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and today we're looking at the game Dokmus by Renegade Game Studios. From designer Mikko Punakalio is a 2-to-4 player abstract area control game.
In the game, players are trying to explore a vast and changing terrain in order to discover temples and ruins, all while taking advantage of the power of the gods. At the beginning of the game, a 3x3 tile grid is laid out on the table with the center tile left open.
Players place a starting token on the outside edge of one of the 4 corners on the grid.
Each round, Guardian cards are drafted, and then based on the number on each card, turn order is determined.
On their turn, players will place 3 tokens and use the action from the Guardian card they drafted. Actions include sliding individual tokens, rotating tiles either clockwise or counterclockwise 90 degrees, sliding tiles in the open space on the map, or becoming the first player.
Players may place their token on spaces that are orthogonally adjacent to the spaces that already contain one of their tokens. Tokens may not be placed on temples, but spaces beyond that temple are considered adjacent once a token is placed next to it.
Tokens may, however, be placed on ruins, and this grants the player an additional Guardian action on that turn.
Also, players may not place tokens on spaces that contain mountains or water. They can, however, use waterway spaces to navigate between areas on the map.
Forests and rivers are more difficult to navigate, and explorers will need to offer a sacrifice to the gods in order to enter the forest or traverse a waterway. Volcanoes are able to be explored, but tokens left there will be sacrificed at the end of the turn. These sacrifices will be tallied at the end of the game for additional victory points.
At the end of 8 rounds, victory points are tallied, and the player with the most points wins.
The game has nice components and is very easy to set up, although there's a lot of strategy involved in gameplay.
Yeah, there is, because there are a lot of different ways to get points. You can get points for being on the ruins, you get 1 point or 2 for being on the small temples, and more points for being next to the big temples. And then you also score points based on if you own all the temples on a tile, you get more points for that. Or if you own 1 temple on each tile, you get more points for that too. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and it's really all about like figuring out how do I rotate this tile, get my guy onto the next tile, get the temple, like optimizing those placements is where the game meat is very much heavy.
Yeah, and I don't think there's necessarily one of those that will beat out any of the other ones. We felt it was pretty balanced, and gaining all the tiles on the map wasn't necessarily more beneficial than discovering all the temples on one tile. It seemed balanced, and you really have to optimize what you're able to go for on each turn. One thing that I also enjoyed was there isn't a whole lot of backstabbing. You're able to block players and move tiles away from where people might be able to get to new locations, but you're not allowed to take any tokens off the map, so you're not hurt in any way or losing ground because other players can backstab.
Right, I don't know that the backstabbing happens intentionally. It definitely does happen when you beat somebody else to that spot that they were planning to go to, and it may not even be obvious. There are so many pieces on the board, it's hard to tell. It's usually not intentional. I think it could be if you were spiteful or whatever. Something else we got to do is we got to play the expansion called Return to Eferel,
yes.
Which adds some nice, cool little pieces to the game. It offers an additional Guardian action card to draft for your turn order, and it includes 4 separate modes of gameplay.
The water tile expansion allows you to navigate through a central lake to any connected waterway. In the ice expansion, all water is now ice, and players must slide their tokens straight through instead of being able to navigate through the waters.
The wind expansion adds several new tiles to the board that include on them roads. Roads allow players to move double the spaces and enter forests more easily.
And finally, the sun expansion allows for a bonus action when you discover a ruin that can be applied to tiles other than the one that it's discovered on. I think all of these extra components in the expansion allow for great replayability, mostly because they allow for different movements of your tokens. There's minimal movement that you can do of replacing or moving a token somewhere else on the board, and I think this allows you some more options, so I think it's great for replayability.
Yeah, it definitely adds some nice little things to it. I don't know how much the tile in the center really changes the game significantly from round to round, but it definitely gives you different things that you can try each time you play the game. We've had a lot of fun with it. We've played it with non-gamers and with more heavy strategy gamers. One of the nice things is that you don't tally your score till the very end of the game, so you could be losing miserably and not know that you're doing terrible. Because the movements are place 3, like it's not hard to understand, but like it can be really, really thinky as you try to figure out exactly like I got to get the most points on every turn to make it count.
If this sounds like something you're interested in, check out Dokmus from Renegade Game Studios. Tantrum House gives Dokmus 2 thumbs up. Abstract area control game.
Do you feel confident in that?
No, I had to think. I got the name, but I couldn't get abstract area control. Okay. Although there's a lot of strategy involved in gameplay.
Strategery.
Yep. The game has Sorry.
Dokmus Return to Eferel. Nope. Eferel.
Arafel.
There wasn't a ton of opinion, but we got some opinion in there.